Have you ever really stopped to think about your job? Not just the tasks you do, but the whole setup, the office, the hours, the way you work. None of it is an accident. It's an architecture, a system that's been designed with a specific purpose in mind. And honestly, understanding that design, that's the key to figuring out the future of work.
It really all boils down to this one simple but huge question. Are you looking for a job that fits neatly into your life, or are you willing to build your life to fit around your job? And right now, that isn't just some philosophical question you ponder over coffee. No, it's the central battleground of the entire modern workplace. And this leads us straight into something called the hybrid paradox. All the data shows that, yeah, a lot of us are actually more productive when we're working from home. But at the same time, that exact freedom can leave us feeling totally isolated, disconnected from our teams. So what's the solution? How do you get the best of both worlds? Peak productivity and real human connection.
Well, to figure that out, we first need to know what our options are. Think of all the modern ways of working not as one single choice, but more like a playlist. You can pick and choose different arrangements. So let's run through the big five, real quick.
First up, you've got job sharing. This is a pretty clever model, actually. It's perfect for keeping really skilled professionals in the game who maybe can't commit to a full 40-hour week. It lets them keep their career on track without having to sacrifice other big life commitments. Then you have self-managed teams. This is all about pushing ownership and autonomy down to the people actually doing the work. It's built for speed and empowerment, cutting out all those layers of management you have to go through for approval.
Next on the playlist, flexible schedules. This one is all about when you work. It completely decouples your job from that old 9-to-5 clock. The company trusts you to get your work done during your own peak hours, whether you're an early bird or a total night owl.
And that's a little different from off-site or remote work, which is all about where you work. This model untethers your job from a specific building. It gives you the freedom to work from pretty much anywhere you can get a decent internet connection. And finally, there's contract or gig work. In this world, you're a specialist. You're hired to deliver a specific result, not to clock 8 hours. It offers like the ultimate freedom, but it also comes with the full weight of having to find that next project all on your own. So, as you can probably tell, every single one of these arrangements has a built-in trade-off, right? Job sharing gives you incredible life balance, but man, it requires flawless communication between the two partners. And remote work, it gives you that dream of zero commute time, but it can also lead to some serious professional isolation. The key takeaway here is that there is no single best option. Each one is a strategic choice.
Okay, so how do companies, and more importantly, how do you make the right choice? We need a framework for thinking about this. So let's look at two really powerful lenses that can bring this whole debate into sharp focus.
Our first one is the structural lens. This comes from an absolutely brilliant Canadian academic named Henry Mintzberg. And his big idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also profound. There is no single best way to structure a company. The design of the organization has to match the environment that it's operating in. This slide here illustrates his point perfectly. Look, if your environment is stable and predictable, and your main goal is efficiency, think of a traditional bank. You build what he calls a machine bureaucracy. Clear rules, clear hierarchy. But if you're in a super dynamic, fast-changing market, like a tech startup, you need an adhocracy. That's a fluid, project-based structure that's built for constant innovation.
All right, now for our second lens, the psychological lens. This is all about something called self-determination theory. And it basically argues that what really motivates us as human beings isn't just money or fancy perks, it's about fulfilling these deep, innate psychological needs.
And there are three of them. First, there's autonomy. That's our need to feel like we're in control of our own actions and choices. Second is competence, the drive to feel effective like we're actually mastering our work. And third is relatedness, our fundamental human need to feel connected to other people. The thing is, any successful work architecture has to satisfy all three of these needs.
The management legend Peter Drucker saw this coming decades ago. He knew that for knowledge workers, people who literally get paid to think for a living, autonomy isn't just a nice-to-have perk. No, it's a non-negotiable requirement for doing great work. You simply can't micromanage your way to innovation.
Okay, so let's take these lenses and apply them to the real world. We're going to look at two huge companies with completely opposite strategies for the future of work. On one side of the ring, you've got the traditional view, which you hear a lot in more established industries. The argument goes something like this. Real innovation,
a strong culture, and fast decisions. They can only happen when we're all physically together, through that high-bandwidth communication of being in the same room.
And on the other side, you've got the modern tech perspective. Here, the belief is that limiting your hiring to only people who live within a 30-mile radius of your office is basically corporate suicide. The only way to get the absolute best talent in the world is to let them work from wherever they are.
And this clash just comes to life when we compare TD Bank and the software giant Atlassian. TD, being a highly regulated bank, operates in a really stable environment, so they're optimizing for risk management. They use a bureaucratic hybrid model to make sure everything is compliant and under control. For them, the office is a daily hub for oversight and for reinforcing that culture of stability. Atlassian, though, they are a pure adhocracy, built for one thing: speed. Their Team Anywhere model is designed specifically to attract the best, most autonomous tech talent from all over the globe. For them, the office is just an optional hub for social events now and then, not for daily work. So what's the business outcome? While TD maintains its market stability, while Atlassian accelerates its product innovation. See? Different goals, different architectures.
So, seeing these two incredibly successful but wildly different models just proves there is no single right answer. So what does all this mean for you, for your own career path?
Well, there are 3 key principles that can help you navigate all this. First, context is king. The right model depends entirely on the nature of the work being done. Second, be intentional. An office shouldn't just be the default place you go. If you're asking people to come in, it has to be for a specific purpose, something that can't be done better remotely. And third, you have to understand the autonomy trade-off. The more freedom and flexibility you want, the higher the expectation is for your accountability and for proactive communication. Now let's just peek into the future for a second. There's a really powerful hypothesis emerging about entry-level jobs. See, historically, junior employees learned through osmosis, right? You'd overhear conversations, you'd watch senior colleagues solve problems in real time. But as AI starts to automate more of the routine execution tasks and remote work limits that ambient learning, a really crucial pathway for starting a career could be closing off.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative question. If that crucial career-making mentorship and that high-level strategic thinking starts to happen only among the people who have access to the physical headquarters, will the office become the new exclusive Ivy League campus of the corporate world? A place you literally have to get into to get ahead? Something to think about.